how I'm turning my SCADA skills into a $200,000 plus career path. How are we doing today? My name is Alexander Akabogu. Welcome back to the Engineering Basketball channel, the channel where I'm still thinking of the best intro here, but myself, a degreed engineer and computer scientist working in the industry for a decade and counting, is also a former college basketball player, high school and middle school basketball coach, and skills and development trainer. And the way I see the game of basketball, in developing specifically, is a bridge exactly between how I go to work every day as an engineer, right? Building systems for progress. That's my niche, and that's what I love to do. So today here we're talking about SCADA specifically, and how my SCADA skills are, allowing me to build a $200,000 plus career plan. Okay. Why this hits, man? Money makes the world go round, unfortunately, but fortunately. I am not and will never say that money equals happiness, but money answers a lot of questions that allow you to do things you want. It gives you options. So you have to find your skill set, or the skill set that works for you, that allows you to earn enough per hour, or per job, or per whatever the people say, per deal, that allows you to do things outside of your job while not also hating your job. And SCADA skills are one of those things. The skills are transferable. I mentioned in previous videos, but these are skills that have been around for decades and will be around for decades to come. There's no AI that's going to get in the way of these skill sets, because communication from the engineers in the office to the techs in the shop building the devices, to the control center looking at the operators looking at the screens and controlling these devices, to the field guys in the field actually implementing and updating these on site. All those guys need a communication connection, and that is what SCADA is. And not even to mention the IT portion, right? Being able to speak IT as well. All those skill sets are what allow me to accrue this $200,000 a year plus skill set. And I know what you'll say. It really depends on where you live, man. $200,000 US is decent if you're living in a low cost of living area, right? I'm thinking about areas that are not California per se. And I know it's probably not all of California, but the general areas of California, or those general areas of the Northeast. I'm talking more so like Connecticut, Massachusetts, those expensive areas where 200 grand will be okay, but it's not going to change your life. But if you're in a low cost living area and have these SCADA skill sets, this can really provide you a very good life. And the funny thing about what I'm working on, it aligns exactly with what you're working on. I mentioned earlier the amount of people that I interact with. I'm not the type, just as an engineer or maybe a drafter, just drawing things. Drawings. No. I'm communicating with the engineers. I'm communicating with the field. I'm communicating with the techs. I'm communicating with IT. I'm communicating with so many people that I feel that presence as I'm driving to work. I see this construction, I see these updates, I see my work in every day to day. One big key point I want to bring to you is, this is a high value niche, right? Operational technology security, OT security, right? Operational technology, these devices we work with, and understanding security on those devices is something that people pay for, right? The information age that we're waving into, now there's so much data going around, we need to figure out a way to secure it. We need to figure out a way to secure our devices, secure these new age devices that we're working with. And OT security, which is one of the skills that I am building and have been building, to bridge that gap between what's changing in technology. That, as well as automation. Automation is important. I know. They mention Python a lot, and who wants to code anymore when you have AI? But understanding automation, I think, is actually more important than AI, because automation is optimizing workflows, That's really how you have to think about it. Optimizing workflows. There are processes that get something from the engineer's table to the field. That process has things that can be upgraded and updated through automation. Things like tools you build, maybe things that take data from devices or take data from Excel spreadsheets and transmit them to readable configuration files. The engineers that are in the field understand what I'm talking about when I say that, but it's essentially just transposing data so a device can read it, right? And using scripting or automation to do that. The third thing too that I want to make sure I talk about is leveraging experiences into income. I know all these jobs that you have, you may be thinking that the smartest thing to do is do your job, get in, get out. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it really is just the best to do your job and get out. And you think that if you work 40 hours or 30 hours, you're winning, you're beating the man, because you're essentially raising your hourly rate. If you can work less and get the same work done, then you're raising your hourly rate. And I agree with you. But the goal isn't to maximize your hourly rate by working less. You don't want to take on unnecessary work, but you want to build upon and accrue skills that pay. So the step one isn't to just take on more work. The step is to, what skills do I want to build? What skills are they paying for out there? And now I need to figure out how that aligns into my job. And I need to figure out a way to slowly pull that experience into my life, so I have the skills that are paying for, and I leverage those jobs. Those three things are what I want you to think about when you're working in your own profession, or if you're thinking about SCADA in general. So we will quickly reiterate. My core technical skills, right? The technical skills: problem solving, troubleshooting, communicating, pattern recognition, all those things, right? Automation, all those things need to be massaged, curated, improved on a regular basis, organized, outlined, documented. 2, high value niches. OT security and automation are high value skills. Those are the skills that you want to make sure you build upon, because those are the things that get you paid, right? Simplifying things, simplifying workflows, automating workflows, building tools that remove the human element. Those are skills that get you paid. And 3, leveraging all those experiences. All the things that you are learning in your jobs, instead of just being a taskmaster and getting things done, you want to learn skills that are being paid for out in the industry. So leverage your skills to shift into consulting. Consulting has a higher rate of pay, right? Higher responsibility, so please prepare yourself for that. But they definitely pay more for a consultant. So that's what I want to explain. These things are important because I'm telling you, life gets very busy, and you don't want to be unprepared for it and be playing catch up your entire life, because you'll be playing catch up forever. And at some point, you have to bite the bullet. So bite the bullet early, right? In your 20s specifically, maybe even your late teens, you think about what you want to do. Me myself, I could have been a doctor. I could have been a lawyer. I thought about these things. I'm like, You look at the life of a lawyer, look at the life of a doctor, and trust me, I'm not a doctor nor lawyer, so I can't say factually what they do, but on the outside looking in, it's a lot of school, it's a lot of student loans, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work even after you graduate. You get paid very handsomely as a doctor, but at 30-something, you start getting paid as a doctor, and that's with $250,000 plus student loans you have to pay back. And at 30-something as a doctor, depending on how old you're, if you want to have a family, how old your wife is, she may want kids sooner than later, right? So now you started earning money, but now the expenses are shooting up. And everybody knows you're a doctor. They know you make money, so that they leverage that. I digress. I don't want to get too deep into this, but I saw engineering as a nice bridge. I knew that I would earn a respectable amount early, right? At 22 years old, after I graduated, I would earn a respectable amount. But it really tapers off because the raises are not relative to the workload you did in college. But that's okay. I've combated that with working more, taking on extra work, changing jobs, might be the biggest thing. Changing jobs, changing positions, right? Job hopping, especially in your 20s, after 2-3 years of accruing skills, intentional work is how you get your salary to respectable, as well as understanding budgeting, understanding finances. There's so much I can go into. Drop a comment in there, seeing what you're doing to put yourself at an unfair advantage. But these are the things that I'm doing to assure that I'm turning my SCADA skills into a $200,000 plus career path annually. Thanks for listening. Over and out.